Yo, welcome back to my channel / web series. Today I'm going to be doing a tag video for living abroad. Couldn't find a study abroad tag, so decided to just do a few questions from living abroad tag. Let's begin. Question 1. What is your name? Question 2. Which country do you live in? I lived in South Africa for 5 months, and it was Cape Town, obviously, as I said, which is in the Western Cape Province. Question 4. How long have you lived there? I lived there for about 5 months, from July to November. Question 5. Have you ever lived in another country? Which one? I have not lived in another country. Question 6. How old are you? I'm about 103 years old. I'm 21, but when I was abroad, I was 20 years old. Question 7. Why did you decide to move abroad? The reason I decided to study abroad was because I wanted to have an experience in another country at a university that had classes similar to ones that I would take, but different also in ways like teaching methods and reading material. My school has a lot of options for programs, and I wanted to take advantage of that because I didn't know when the next time would be that I would get to have an opportunity like that. Question 8. Was it hard to get a residence permit / visa? Oh my god, it was very, very difficult. Don't want to discourage anybody, but the process for that was probably the most stressful thing, one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had in my life, which hasn't been that long, so I'm sure I'll have more stressful ones. Quite a lot of documentation. You have to have background checks, like fingerprints, lots of doctor's notes, like proof of like a TB test. My visa ended up coming like 2 days before I left. So lots of stress around that. Wasn't sure if I was gonna make it there on time or at all. I definitely don't miss that at all. Question 9. What was the worst experience you've had there? Might not be specific to South Africa. It's just kind of what women deal with in basically any location, but once it got warm and you would wear like dresses and shorts and like not big jackets, a lot of catcalling, definitely, men feeling like they had a sense of ownership over your body, but again, that was not specific to South Africa at all. Question 10. Tell us about a tourist attraction or sightseeing place you like and talk a little bit about it. One of the first places that I went in South Africa, kind of outside of Cape Town, a little bit outside of Cape Town, was on a peninsula tour which took us to the Cape of Good Hope, which is one of the most breathtaking places I've ever seen. Probably like the most breathtaking place I've ever seen. Just water surrounding this peninsula, and there's so much greenery. Everything seems like it was placed there by humans, but it's just naturally that beautiful. There was this beautiful serene beach that had like very light soft sand, and I just took off my shoes and stepped through the sand, and it was so peaceful. I could spend hours there with like a book or just looking at the ocean, which goes on for miles and miles. Question 11. Do you speak the local language? Do you think it's important to learn it? Interestingly enough, South Africa actually has 11 national languages. Those languages are English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Southern Sotho, Tswana, Ndebele, Venda, Sangha, Swati, Northern Sotho, and Xhosa. The last one does have a click in it. I did spend about 5 minutes before I did that practicing that click because I am really bad at it. I did take an introductory level course focusing on Xhosa, and it was really difficult because obviously when you get to this age, it's hard to internalize languages, and I'd never learned a language that wasn't a Romance language or Indo-European, because because I do speak Farsi. It was definitely a challenge, but I really enjoyed that I did that, even though I only learned things like, how are you, my name is this, just because I could learn more about culture in the language class as well. I learned a lot about like clan names and importance of different cultural markers and signifiers, so that was really cool. I definitely think that learning languages is important anywhere because you get a sense of a different perspective, whether you're part of that perspective or not part of that cultural atmosphere. But definitely in South Africa, where the culture is so varied and there are so many different languages and people and cultures, it's so cool to have the option of learning other languages. Cool. Question 12. What do you think about the country you lived in? How well do they receive foreigners? I love the country that I lived in. I loved living in South Africa. It was so eye-opening. Definitely a place where I learned about myself as well as the country and city I was in. I think the people there were so much warmer and interested in your life than people I've met in the US. One of the things that we learned about in my program was a high context versus low context conversation. Low context was what I talked about earlier in my introduction video, where someone says, how are you? And you just say, I'm good, and that's the end of the conversation. Whereas high context was, how are you? Well, I'm very tired today. I had this long project that I had to finish, but now I'm done, and I am looking forward to tomorrow. You can see the difference where one is a very short, brief answer and it doesn't really open any conversation. It's kind of closed, doesn't show interest, and the other one kind of allows you to express yourself, and through expressing yourself you get to know other people and feel definitely like they want to hear what you have to say. That was probably my favorite thing actually about living in South Africa, was that people always wanted to hear what you had to say, and it was definitely hard coming back to the US and going back to the whole, how are you? Oh, I'm good, and that was kind of the end of the conversation. Cool. Question 13. Do you miss your family? I did miss my family a lot, but I also talk to my family a lot because we luckily live in an age where you can call your family on Facebook calling or FaceTime or WhatsApp. There's so many different messaging apps now. Question 14. What products from your home country do you miss the most? I don't eat meat. I do eat fish, but I don't eat like chicken, steak, anything like meat products. And one of the things I used to cook with a lot is tofu, and South Africa is not very good at selling that in grocery stores. They had like one brand, I think, and it was like it was like really crumbly, and I could not use it to cook. Generally speaking, eating out was really easy as a vegetarian. They did have tofu at restaurants, and obviously other things that I could eat. Question 15. What are your plans for the future? Do you want to live there forever? I feel like this question doesn't really apply to me, but I guess I can change that around and say, would I ever go back? Definitely. I would love to visit there again. Maybe, someday even consider living there, not permanently, but I do think that my lifestyle there was awesome. It was very relaxed. I definitely think I would go back to visit, definitely. Maybe even someday to live there. Question 16. What's something you use every day where you live that you think your home country should also have? I found this lotion a few years ago, and it's Johnson & Johnson, so it's a pretty common brand in the US, and they stopped carrying it a few years ago, so I can never find it in grocery stores or like any store. I've looked so hard, and I looked online and it's like nowhere. So I got to South Africa and I'm walking through the store like trying to just get like some shampoo or whatever, and what do I find? These bottles. So I found this. It is the same lotion. It's a little bit labeled a little bit differently, but it's the same, same product, smells the same, works the same, and I cannot tell you how happy I was. I almost shed tears of joy in that drugstore. I bought so many of these to bring back with me. I think that the US should carry them still. They're amazing and they smell amazing. Question 17. What suggestions or tips would you give to someone who wants to live in this country? The top thing would be to be flexible, just because coming from the US, especially the East Coast where I go to school, it's very fast paced. Nobody really has a lot of time to like wait around for things to get done, which is good sometimes, but I think one of my favorite things about South Africa was that even if it didn't get done that day, it'd be like, okay, well, like we still have tomorrow. And there wasn't this like sense of urgency that is kind of harmful, I think, in the US sometimes. And it can really bog you down a lot and frustrate you if you can't do something on the exact amount of time that you envisioned you would do it. So I think it's a forgiving mindset in Cape Town that, and I think in South Africa in general, that you kind of have time to process things and do things and live your life as well. You know, you can't just focus on one thing all the time. Question 18, last question. If you could describe it in one word, your experience in this country, what would it be? One word. Ooh. I'm gonna go down the cheesy route and say revealing. It revealed a lot about myself. It revealed a lot about what I want and what works for me in terms of who I'm friends with, my aspirations, my goals, what I value in myself and other people. It definitely showed me a lot about what I think I want the world to look like. So I think revealing would be the best word, although I have 1,000 other words to say about it, as you can tell. Okay, that was the end of the tag. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be doing some more videos that talk more specifically about each of the little things I touched on in this video. So look forward to those, and I'll see you next time.